Hi, I'm Remington, welcome. So I don't really like the setup that I got going on right now. Like I got some books right here, which is great, but they're not really in the shot, like you can't see any of them. I got my flag, that's cool. But then I just got my bed and this window up here. Not a huge fan of what's going on, like my actual bookshelf isn't even in the shot. So I'm gonna change this up. First of all, let me give you like a brief look of the setup right now. So right here is the desk where you were just sitting. Then over here, right here I have all like my political books pretty much. There's a couple fiction right in here, but they're kind of, sort of, at least somewhat politically related. And then up here is just general nonfiction. There's a lot of pop science, there's some philosophy, that kind of stuff. And then over here is where I have my actual bookshelf. These are all the books that I own that I've read. Well, not all of them. There's some more scattered around, but for the most part, if I've read it, it's on this shelf. Except for this top shelf right here. I haven't read any of these. I haven't read any of the Wheel of Time yet, or the Jane Austen, or Charles Darwin. I have read the Warriors books though. And then up here, I've read all these How to Train Your Dragon books. I haven't read the last one yet, which, like, I read these years ago, so I kind of need to like reread them to read the last one, which may or may not ever happen. And then we just have a random assortment of a couple books. And over here, this entire middle part, I'm pretty sure, is just Stephen King and then fantasy. This shelf is all the books that I have either two of or just want to get rid of in general. And then this is all like literary fiction that's just piled up. Got a couple more just random books right there. And then right here I've got like classics and science fiction for the most part. And yeah, like as you can tell, it's pretty cramped back here. I don't really use this space nearly as much as I used to. And my roommate is like semi-existent. He doesn't really live here. He just uses it as like storage. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna take all my books, all of them, and stack them on here just to get them out of the way. I'm gonna stack them in like books that I've read and books that I haven't read, which is gonna be the majority of them. And then I'm just gonna kind of figure out the best way to orient this. And I guess I will go from there. Okay, so these are all the books that I have read. So, as you might be able to see, there's a little bit of a disconnect between my two hobbies of reading and my other hobby of buying books. They are two very different hobbies, but that's okay because I plan to eventually read every single one of these books, even if it might take the rest of my life. I do like the idea of a life library. I do want to at least somewhat keep them separate though, because I want to be able to like say like, hey, these are the books that I've read and these are the ones that I haven't, like have a shelf of shame and a shelf of pride, I guess. There's definitely some level of vanity in displaying books in general, especially books that you haven't read. So yeah, I think I'm going to just like roughly sort them by genre, and then after I set up the other side of the room where they're actually going to be, I'm going to try and figure out the best way to put them that'll also look good for future videos that I make, I guess. Alright, you're gonna have to pardon the drunk people outside. There's nothing I can do about that. But this, I think, is what I'm going to settle on. I've got all kinds of room for my books. I might put some down here. Not entirely sure yet. All the books that I've read so far are gonna be all up on here. And I might put some on there too, but that's not gonna stay there. It's gonna move wherever I need it to be. They're getting very loud out there. But the only problem with this setup is that if my semi-existent roommate ever becomes a actually fully existent roommate, this will be a problem. But worst case scenario, I just move back to the way that I was. But yeah, like right now he's just storing stuff here, so this shouldn't be a problem. So I'm gonna move all my books and separate them roughly by genre. So I'll do that now. So this is roughly what I've come up with. It is far from perfect. Like, there's a ton of books behind all these books, which I'm not happy about. I thought I was going to be able to make more space, and there's even some books above me and books, way more books over there than I wanted. I got more books than I thought that I had, which is a good problem to have, I guess. It'll be much nicer when I'm not in this tiny little room. Anyway, it's almost midnight now, because this took me quite a while. So I'm going to go to bed, but in the morning, I'll give you a slight tour so you can see kind of the collection that I've got. Alright, the sun has risen, so unfortunately so must I. But anyway, let me take you on a quick tour of all the books. Off briefly on the bookshelf where I read everything. If you want details about the majority of these books, you can watch my last video that I put out where I ranked all the books that I read last year, because I read almost all of these last year. But on the top, we've just got the How to Train Your Dragon, The Warriors, and then of course my favorite book, Blankets, which is a gorgeous graphic novel held up by a little Lego guy right there, so it's not sagging. And then just like little Lego decorative pieces to make it look a little bit nicer. Then down here, we've got 3 graphic novels. Then we kind of go into dystopian, and then we shift more into sci-fi, and then Stephen King, because there was room for Stephen King there. And then down here, we've got Hatchet, and then classics. The only fantasy book that I have on this shelf, Trusted the Emerald Sea. Then we go into like literary fiction. Then we go into nonfiction, kind of memoirs. And then we go into like more political or sociology kind of books. And then down here in this corner, we've got a little bit of philosophy, science, history, and then manly man books. Then over here is just a whole bunch of Christian religious material. So let's go up here. Of course, we've got Calvin and Hobbes, obviously. In this stack up here, we've got Russian classics, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky. Then we've got a nice Mark Twain leather bound. Some Barnes & Noble illustrated editions of books that I picked up because they were on sale. Then we got some Jane Austen leather bounds. We got some Charles Dickens up in this stack. We've got a whole bunch of Penguin classics. Not all of my Penguin classics, but all of the classic Penguin classics, you know. Then I don't know what these two, I don't know what company produces them, but I had to put them together, obviously, because they're the same. Some Jane Austen, some Jane Eyre, or not Jane Eyre, Charlotte Bronte. The Homer, the Iliad. Up here, we've got some Oscar Wilde, some Shakespeare, a whole bunch of other random stuff. We got John Steinbeck in this stack quite a bit. We've got Mistborn up here, which I'm looking forward to reading hopefully this year. I really want to make it a priority. Then we've also got a Game of Thrones or a Song of Ice and Fire, depending on what you want to call it. I'm not going to read these books until a Storm of... What's the next one called? I don't remember what the next one called, but until it gets a release date, I will not be reading a single one of these books, because I'm not going to be disappointed when the story doesn't get finished. Then we've got some more like random fantasy. We've got the Dark Tower books, well, the first 4. And we've got Lord of the Rings. Very nice. Then over here, continuing on fantasy, we have The Wheel of Time. That took me a little bit too long. I was very fortunate to finally find the first Wheel of Time book, The Eye of the World. I'm going to hopefully be reading this one after I finish the current graphic novel that I'm reading. It's going to take me a while though, because it's a big boy, and I haven't been making a ton of time to read nonfiction as of late, because I'm studying for an essay that I'm writing. Then over here we've got a whole bunch of the Percy Jackson books. We've got random stuff, Babel, Legends and Lattes, The Poppy War, Harry Potter, Aragon, which the first one's up there. And then I think that this is the 3rd and the 4th. So I need the second one still, I'm pretty sure. We've got some sci-fi over here. We got Hyperion and a whole bunch of mostly standalones. I know that Asimov Foundation, that's a series. But most of these I'm pretty sure are standalone. I know that this one, Living Up what is it called? The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I know that has a sequel. And I think Neuromancer does too. I don't really know though. Then over here we got the Ender's Game books. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you're going to read these books, buy them used, because Orson Scott Card's not a good person. Then we've got the Pierce Brown novels for Red Rising, which, as much as I hated the ending of Morningstar, I am very much looking forward to continuing with reading those. And I'm probably going to put out a review of the first 3, the first trilogy. Hopefully next week. It'll probably be the next video, at least, if not next week. We've got the first and last, I think, Leviathan books. We've got Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. We've got Michael Crittenden, the very nice Dune Special Edition, which I'm terrified to read. Then some more like random sci-fi books. Then if we go over here, we've got a couple books that I'm going to be reading for the essay that I'm writing. Then over here, this stuff's all like very roughly sorted, just because I kind of gave up when I had to start stacking them like this over here again. Over here we've got economic politics, like from here. Then we've got like random politics or like social stuff here. A whole bunch of political books. History. Fiction that is in some way roughly related to politics. Over here we've got biology, and then general science, philosophy. Yeah, that's all philosophy. And then more philosophy. And then lastly, over here, don't mind the super bright lights, because my room is dark as hell. We've got some like atheism, philosophy stuff. and some more atheism philosophy stuff. And that's it. That is all the books for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like if you feel like it. Also, let me know what you're reading. I'm curious about what the people who watch these videos are most interested in. I know that some of you, like Megan specifically, left a comment on my last video saying that she read 52 books last year. So like, what are some of y'all's favorites? You know, what are books that I should be looking into? I know that I have more than I already need, but I'm curious about what the people that watch this read. So let me know. See ya.